What is up, fellas? It is championship week. We have 3 football games left, 3 football games to tell you how to bet before the season is over. And we are the place to do it because we are NFL points, picks, and props. We tell you who to pick. We tell you how many points, and we give you the props. And joining me tonight, as always, we are the trio of prognosticators. Tommy Burch, he is in Springfield, Massachusetts. Ben O'Connell is in Chicago, Illinois. I am on the road this week. I am in the Kingsley Hotel in Bloomfield Hills, Michigan, just outside of Detroit, because that is how dedicated we are to making sure that you have the best information available. I have come to Michigan. I had dinner at the same time last night, probably as Dan Campbell had dinner. We didn't talk football, but I was paying attention to what was happening with the Detroit Lions. I know all things Detroit Lions as they head off to Santa Clara here at the end of the week. But yes, we are ready for what really are the two games we really wanted to see. I think you've got Patrick Mahomes versus Lamar Jackson, and we've got the team that the upstart Detroit Lions, and of course the best team in the NFC, and they've been the best team really over the last 3 or 4 years, the San Francisco 49ers. Tommy, go ahead and crow a little bit about your 49ers. They look pretty good. I mean, they struggle, but hey, they are one game away from the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, it was a real close one. And, our buddy Brock didn't have an incredible game, but neither did Mr. Love. To be fair, it was torrential downpours, and you can't really expect it. He walked out on the field with a glove on his hand for the first snap of the game. So I didn't really expect too much from him. Yeah. The fact that he didn't throw a pick, which he should have.
Well,
he didn't.
He tried.
He should have. He really put a solid effort in, but he didn't. I think there's a lot of different factors that made that game close, but it also probably makes this Lions game better because the Niners showed weakness, and now the Lions, Dan Campbell can smell fear. He can sniff out weakness.
One weakness they did not show, Christian McCaffrey, the most impactful non-quarterback in the league, without a doubt. He was spectacular. So no reason to worry about Brock Purdy when you've got a guy like Christian McCaffrey. Just make sure he gets the football and good things happen, for sure. Ben, so Tommy and I both have picked the Texans. We'll get into our results from last week here in a second. You had the Ravens, and boy, did they show out in that second half.
Oh my goodness, right? At first, it looked like it could go either way, and then the rust fell off. I think that might have just been a little bit of ring rust. That just having that bye week, they turn it on in the second half. It's no doubt, who should be the favorite coming in to the AFC Championship. They just look like they are on a completely different level, which they have looked all season, to their credit. I think it is, always something that you got to commend as a football fan whenever you can see a team who was putting it on at a high level in the regular season continue to do so in the postseason, because everyone is A, expecting that from you, so you got that added pressure, and B, it's just harder to do it, down the stretch, So it's exciting. I'm excited for this matchup that we got with them coming up this weekend. Goodness, right? What more could you ask for? This truly is the 4 best teams in football, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Let's go ahead and take a look back at how we did with our picks last week. Starting with that first game on Saturday, it was the Texans and the Ravens. Tommy and I both liked that 9.5-point spread. And certainly at halftime, we looked like we had made great picks. But the second half, the Ravens just took off. So Ben got the cash from that pick. Tommy and I took the L's. And that was the story with our prop bets too. Obviously, Tommy, you got the Lamar Jackson touchdown, but Nico Collins did not get in. Both quarterbacks came up short of the 225 passing yards that I needed, and of course, Ben got that plus 130 from Lamar Jackson. He had 2 rushing touchdowns, so sadly that doesn't pay twice. But Ben really kicked our butts with that first game there. Had the right team, had the right props. Well done there, Mr. O'Connell. That Saturday night game that we briefly talked about, I had the Packers, and I ended up winning with that 10-point spread. Obviously, the Packers lost the game. The 49ers advanced, but the Packers did cover the spread, so I took the W there. You guys both took L's. And the same thing with our prop bets. And I'm particularly proud of this prop bet because it paid plus 435. I had the big run by Aaron Jones that put him over 100 yards, so he easily hit his over, and then both Jordan Love and Brock Purdy. And I was aided a little bit by that rain for no question about it. They both went under. And Tommy, I really thought, I mean, you had McCaffrey get his touchdown early, and Ayuk, as soon as when Debo went out, I really thought, okay, well, Ayuk's going to definitely hit the over now that Debo's out. It did not happen. It did not happen. I was surprised by that, Tommy.
Some bad luck.
But for sure. And Ben, obviously, it was a good choice, but it did not happen.
What can I say? I had high expectations for Tommy's team. What can I say?
Yeah, well, they are a good team. There's no question about it. All right, moving on to Sunday's game, our first Sunday game, where the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Detroit Lions. Tommy and I, well done to us. The Lions won by 8 points to cover that spread. Ben believed that the Bucs would get a little bit closer. They did not, although not because they didn't play well. I mean, Baker had a big game. In fact, here we are, both Tommy and I getting the W's there. On our prop bets, Baker, what did you? Baker hit the over here, but which obviously killed you, Tommy. He did not go under. Detroit, you had the point spread right. You had the 7-12, but the others didn't work out, which is unfortunate because that plus 1,100 would have made up for all of the other bets over the course of the playoffs.
I'm so upset. I thought that was going to be a hit.
Ben hitting the big plus 550 on that, and you got that pretty easily. I mean, there was not sweating there in the last couple of minutes. That was well done. See if you can pull that rabbit out of the hat again this week. I had the Gibbs touchdown, but Amon-Ra St. Brown did not get to 100 yards, so I lost on that prop. Our final Sunday game was the Chiefs at the Bills, and Ben and I had the Chiefs. Tommy had the Bills. Tommy took the L there on that.
Yeah,
Ben and
I had faith.
Well, look, I mean, obviously, it was a good game. Anytime look, I know that we're blaming Tyler Bass, but let's remember Patrick Mahomes in a tie game, or he was behind with 13 seconds left against this Bills team, and the Chiefs won. This would have been a tie game with 1:47 seconds left. But I don't think we need to blame Tyler Bass. We need to blame the Bills for not getting the touchdown. Blame Josh Allen for not taking that crosser to. He has Stephon Diggs wide open on the crosser. Instead, he plays, and this is. I'll go ahead and take this down here so we can chat about this real briefly. We'll get back to the props here in a second. Josh Allen did a great job of playing within himself for three quarters and 12 minutes. Then the last drive, he started playing a little bit of hero ball, going deep, missing guys. At that point, all you needed to make sure you get a field goal or a touchdown to win the game. You don't have to get it all in one play. Again, there was plenty of time left. We had 2 minutes to go. They still had plenty of timeouts. Uh, I just and I really like Josh. I like the way he plays football. And Tommy, you've obviously been around a lot of football players. To me, Josh Allen is one of those guys who it doesn't matter in high school if they had made him a linebacker, if they'd made him a defensive end or a tight end or whatever, he would have been good. He is a football player who happened to have a great arm, so he became a quarterback. But that guy loves contact. He loves to just play football. He is a football player who happens to be a quarterback as opposed to being just a quarterback. So I love watching him play. He loves to hit. He loves to be hit. It's an endearing trait, even though it's a little dangerous in the NFL. He's a lot of fun to watch, but he did put a little bit too much on his back there in that last bit, as opposed to taking what the defense had given him. And I thought that really was what cost Buffalo there at the end of the game. After Miko Hardman fumbles that ball at the 2 yard line, and the Chiefs don't go up by 10 points, the Bills should have had the momentum to go down the field. And I know, Tommy, you picked the Bills. What at that point when that fumble happened, did you think that the Bills were going to do it?
Um, honestly, I thought there was a shot. There wasn't like a. I mean, with how the Bills have competed with the Chiefs in the playoffs, I knew that there was a good chance because when it got close and it doesn't go their way. But there was a lot of opportunity there. Like even on that deep ball to Stephon Diggs in the red zone. I mean, he couldn't have thrown a better ball. That was in a
Yeah,
place where only Diggs could get it, and Diggs, who's supposed to be one of the elite receivers in the NFL, you expect him to catch it, but Diggs has been uh, well below standard for quite a few weeks now, and I don't know
yeah.
what's going on. I really don't. And I saw some ridiculous stat about him compared to a Bills receiver on Instagram today. And let me pull that up real quick. So, yeah, Khalil Shakir
Mhm.
has more yards in a certain amount of weeks. He has like 400 something yards over the past like 6 or 7 weeks. And Stephon Diggs has less than him. And Khalil Shakir has 39 targets and Stephon Diggs has 80. And the fact that a guy can get less than half as many targets, a guy who's not even really a number two receiver,
Yeah.
and he goes out and has more yards during that span than your number one guy. Uh, kind of getting a little worried. Kind of getting a little worried.
Well, I think that it comes down to the coaching from Buffalo and the play calling. They're trying to do a lot of weird gimmicky things to get Diggs the ball, 3 yards down the field and try and get some yak. When in reality, I think that you've always wanted to get Stephon, 10, 15 plus down the field. I think that they're just not utilizing him in the correct ways, and I don't know if it's that they don't have one of those like more pure like smaller speed, maybe someone that you can move out from the slot really quickly into a weird screen or something, or a quick out like eh, what they have been asking Stefan to do in an attempt, to get him back up. Mind you, the slump started prior to this. Okay, but the way that they've
Mhm.
tried to reinvigorate what he used to do is by using him in a completely different skill set that he has ever succeeded in this league, right?
Yeah.
I do agree that I think the game-changing play of the whole game was the dropped ball by Diggs on that wide open go
It
on
was,
the
I mean,
right.
it was a wide open. Hey, there were defenders right there.
There were
It would it,
defenders.
it would have been a good catch, but as Tommy said, it's a catch that we're used to seeing Stephon Diggs make.
Exactly. But I wonder if that makes you as Josh Allen, does that, persuade him to move off the crossing route on that fourth? Do you like how does his decision making change because of that? At the end of the day, I think that there is plenty of blame to go around on this Bills team. This was a team loss at the end of the day. At the end of the day, ultimately the Bills lost on multiple fronts. And the Kansas City Chiefs were just the better, more disciplined team, in my opinion. And that's what it's been throughout their rivalry. In the playoffs, when it matters, the Chiefs are just more disciplined down the stretch. And until the Chiefs either make a mistake or the Bills can step it up, it's just gonna be tough sledding for them, you know?
I don't
Yeah.
know, like, necessarily what happened too, because I mean, if you guys remember, up until the Bengals game, like 10 games into the season, I mean, Stephon Diggs was up there in the offensive player of the year conversation. I mean, he had a stretch at the beginning of the season where he went what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He went 5 for 6 for 100-yard games, and he had 5, 6 touchdowns. I mean, it's like as much as it might be the system, how much could have changed in the offense during that time? I mean, I get that they weren't winning, and you have to spread the ball out, but
Mhm.
you still need to get to your star players. And one thing about, not getting that crosser to Diggs, I could understand that might be a lack of confidence or like a little bit of like wariness due to what had just occurred. One thing that Josh Allen has to do in order to, because we just talked about how he was playing hero ball. He didn't trust his guy. If that is the case, which I'm not trying to make assumptions here because I don't know what's going on in his head. If that was the case, he's not trusting his guy. He's wide open, and Josh Allen's playing hero ball. If he can't do it, I'll do it. It just there's a mentality change that needs to happen in Buffalo, and whether it be a coaching thing, whether it be getting some change in the roster, even some of the good guys, just refresh it, make things new. Just something needs to change because even if there is talent on your roster, if you cannot utilize it correctly, it's not the correct talent. They could be better somewhere else. They can flourish somewhere else. Find somebody else that fits your system better because it's better to fit the system than to be an incredible player and not fit the system.
I
Yeah.
unironically think that Josh Allen wants to win too much. I think that there is a level of desperation to win that when it comes down to it, in that moment, I truly don't think it's a lack of trust in Diggs. I think it's just we gotta win this game. I gotta fit this ball in. He's too emotional in that decision making process to be we like to feel the pressure to get it all in this one play. It's like
Well,
if you get a boxer
yeah.
emotional, they'll make a mistake. You can slip a jab really quickly. Next thing you know, they're on their butt. It is so easy to let emotion fuel you when you just need to take the easy play there.
Well, I think what's one of the things that plagues Josh Allen and maybe the whole Bills team is that they are one of those teams where if you don't win the Super Bowl, you've had a disappointing year. They are, it was 4 years ago that they got to the AFC Championship game, and they haven't been back since. And yet their window is. I mean, you got Von Miller, who's expensive and old. Diggs is now over 30. There's going to be you've got Matt
Injuries.
Milano, who's injuries. I mean, so but you've got to wonder how big the window is, and do the Bills need to do a reset after this year, and does that shrink the window for the next couple of years until it can open back up again? Because I think that this is the way it is when especially when you're a team like that that the fan base is so passionate. They've been through so much heartache, and you so desperately want to bring them a championship, and you yourself are under that microscope of winning the AFC East is not enough. They've done that now 3 years in a row. They've got to get to the Super Bowl. That's what defines their season. Whereas we can look at what the Green Bay Packers did and call that a successful season. We can look at Pittsburgh making it to the playoffs as a successful season. But the Bills, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that they got a playoff win and got a division round. It is not a successful season. And I'm sure they all felt that pressure about this game. This was the opportunity. You've lost to the Chiefs twice in the playoffs. Well, now this Chiefs team is not as good as those teams. You're finally at home getting to play the Chiefs, and you still lose. And that's got to feel pretty awful.
But that's not on the team. That's on the fan base. The fan base wasn't aware enough to realize that this Bills team is not the best iteration of the Buffalo Bills in the past 4 years. The the window from my perspective, has been closed for the past season or two, and they're just now, unfortunately, figuring that out as they're banging on the glass. Like
Yeah.
I you can want it all you want, and we can all appreciate the fact that Bills Mafia wants it. But you gotta have realistic expectations for your team. And genuinely, I think that this season was a success. Look at where you were halfway through the season.
Yeah. I
Making
mean,
it to the playoffs should be a success, and they let themselves believe, that this team was different than what they were showing. They
yeah.
are a very good football team, and they're gonna be competitive. But it's okay to be competitive and not win the whole thing and still find a successful season. But yeah,
Well, let's get to our props from that game because uh, Ben successfully chose the Chiefs to win from behind because that's how the Chiefs win games is they always fall behind. So Ben got a plus 220 out of that. Just continuing Ben's excellent weekend of prop bets. Tommy, you would have thought, based on the kind of game that it was, that both of your overs would have hit. They did not, however.
It's the
I
first
had,
time since they ever played against each other in the playoffs where they haven't hit their overs.
who didn't
And it
hit?
had to be the one time that
yeah,
I chose to pick the prop.
Did they
You know
both
what?
miss?
This has been a
they both missed.
yeah.
Yeah, they both
And you know
missed.
what? I'm just letting you guys know now. It's time for the comeback. Don't call it a comeback. This next week, I'm so confident in my props. It's going to be a whole different game.
Well, we're going to get to the standings here, and you're going to see the hole you have is pretty large. So,
Don't say that to me, Kyle.
and okay, so Travis Kelce, he hits his 70 yards. Isaiah Pacheco, he hits his 63 yards. All I need is a Josh Allen interception, and of course, now they're having to do a come from behind, drive there at the end. It's like this is the perfect time for Josh to throw his pick, and that pass to the end zone he couldn't step all the way into it. That was the pick that was going to give me my plus 600. But no, Josh went 2 games in a row now without an interception. I don't care for that at all. What's happening in the world? If you can't rely on a Josh Allen interception, what's the point in living? That to me is the most. That's just a guarantee in life. So anyway,
It's a glitch in the
Ben,
matrix.
absolutely. So Ben got the only win on that prop. So let's go ahead and check our standings. So this was where we were after the wild card round. I just want you to see how far Ben has come. Ben was in a hopeless hole, minus 235. So let this be hope for you, Tommy, because Ben was in this hopeless hole. He was out of it. There was no way he was going to catch us. And then, boom, look at this. This is where things stand after the division round. Ben is now $30 behind me. He improved against the spread. Tommy, you didn't have a great weekend of your prop bets. So, but hey, if you're only what is that? Only like $1,100 off the pace. So, don't fret. Perhaps this is going to be your weekend.
And
We
perhaps
do.
it won't be yours. No, I can't. I'm gonna pray on my success, but I will never pray on your guys' downfall because
Well,
this is
that's
the
the
show
thing.
where we give everybody advice, and our job and my job is to support you guys in your decisions because guess what? We're trying to make the people money, and
Well,
I'm not gonna pray on our viewers, my viewers, to lose money.
That's the lovely thing about sports betting. It is not a zero-sum game. We all can win. Nobody has to lose in order for us to win. We all can win. That's what's great about sports betting. But yeah, so that's where things stand after the divisional round. And then in our playoff team pool, well, Tommy and I are now tied at 15. Ben, because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers lost, he has been eliminated. Both Tommy and I have a 3rd seed on the road left. If the Lions and Chiefs win, we're going to finish tied. But if only one of those teams wins, then whoever's team wins, they will win our playoff pool total points.
I mean,
Bets.
Kyle, I have a proposition.
All right.
A tiebreaker. If we both
Okay.
make
I'm
it
open.
to the Super Bowl, whichever team wins the game.
Okay. Fair enough. So that
What if
means
you
I've
both
got to root for the
lose?
Detroit Lions in the Super Bowl against the Chiefs.
And you have to root against the Chiefs in both
Mhm.
the AFC Championship and the divisional. I mean,
Okay,
realistically,
well,
it's a win-win for you, right? Because if the
yes.
Lions win, then
Yes.
you win the playoff pool. You know, against
These
your one of your
these two
best
potential
friends.
outcomes are on a par with one another for
Of
sure.
course, versus your Chiefs. I mean, realistically, you're gonna this playoff pool win could be a once in a lifetime thing. Versus you've already
That
seen the
is
Chiefs
true.
win two
That
Super
is
Bowls
true.
in the last
I did
5
it.
years.
Well, yeah. So I will root against the Chiefs and root for the Detroit Lions. Yeah. So sadly Ben is out. But Tommy, I'm really happy that I'm happy the Chiefs won, but I'm also happy that at least we get to go into the championship weekend with there still being some doubt. It wouldn't have been so much a fun experiment if all of a sudden it was over.
Yeah, it's just fun. I
But
like it.
yeah, before we get to the games that are coming up, though, we do have some coaching news that dropped today. We are recording this on Wednesday night, January 24th. And just a couple hours ago, Jim Harbaugh was hired by the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, that means that 4 empty spots have been filled. There are still 4 spots remaining. Brian Callahan, the new head coach of the Tennessee Titans, he's been the offensive coordinator in Cincinnati. You might know the name Callahan because his dad, Bill Callahan, has been one of the best offensive line coaches in the NFL for many, many years. We've got, obviously, Jared Mayo in New England. And why am I drawing a blank on the 4th guy who got hired? Somebody help me out.
Where?
Maybe I'm miscounting. Maybe it's only 3 guys that have been hired. Anyway, we've got 4 spots available now because Jim Harbaugh has taken the Chargers gig. Oh, Antonio Pierce and with Vegas. That was
Oh
the,
yeah,
that was the
I didn't
other
really.
guy.
Yeah, that one was.
Yeah, since he was already the
That's
interim,
hard.
it was hard. Yeah, it wasn't really a coaching change, but yeah. So the AFC West now has Andy Reid, Sean Payton, and Jim Harbaugh. Those are some coaching heavyweights, and it will make that division more fun. Certainly, this is the best coach the Chargers have had in quite some time. Tommy, as you know, Jim Harbaugh has been to a Super Bowl.
Has he
With
won a
the
Super
with
Bowl?
Well, he did not. He did not win. He lost to his brother.
The script was scripting that year.
Yeah, he lost to. Yeah, that was the Harbaugh Bowl where John beat Jim,
And
that was
sent Jim to a decade of purgatory in
the.
college football.
Well, and now that Jim's about to get the hammer dropped on him by the NCAA, he's jumped back to the NFL to avoid that. Not unlike what Pete Carroll did from USC to Seattle. But what do you guys think? What do you guys think of that hire?
Jim Harbaugh, I mean, he had to get signed somewhere, and if he's gonna, I mean, I feel like if there's any year for him to go, this is gonna be the year. He always gives us a little, like, am I gonna do it? Am I? And then he doesn't do it. But this year, he actually had a reason to because he's trying to get out of the allegations. So
Yeah.
now, there's no reason to pursue the case. So Jim Harbaugh, he's innocent until proven guilty. So, and I mean, if you're gonna go anywhere, I feel like the Chargers is the place to go because. I mean, you already got some talented players over there, and it's the beautiful city of LA. I mean, there, you
got a nice stadium. It's a really nice stadium to play in.
Beautiful stadium. I mean, you get what were you talking about? Like the games that they were playing in the middle of the.
Oh my goodness, yeah, it was all kinds. Well, so I went to the Chargers Chiefs game the last week of the season, and they had the Chargers starting lineup introduced by season ticket holders, but on the big screen. So there would be like, Joe has been a season ticket holder since, 1974. And then he would introduce whoever the starting middle linebacker was. But what was funny about it is there were 3 different people who introduced more than one player. Just like, you can't find 22 different people to do this.
That's crazy. That's wild.
That's
awesome. Good for
So
them.
yeah, it was an interesting experience. The Chargers, the stadium is lovely. Chargers game day could use some work. Tommy, since you're going to be a game day or a match day expert because of your soccer experience with the Hartford Athletic, maybe you need to after you finish your internship there, you go out to LA and become the Chargers game day director because they need some work.
They could use a little help,
They
I'll
absolutely.
work the video board. Don't worry.
Okay, so Ben, yeah, obviously Ben, you got Jim Harbaugh now in your division as well. Are you nervous about Jim Harbaugh?
Well, it's really got me thinking that right about now, as Andy Reid's preparing for this, very important AFC Championship game, that he gets this news and he thinks to himself, who's got it better than me? No, buddy. Hello. 9 years at Michigan, one natty. What's his playoff record? What's his postseason record? Who is this? Who does he think he is? Saban? Who's this guy think he is? He ain't no Saban. He wasn't in the SEC. Congratulations on winning the Big Ten against Iowa. Okay. Yeah, yeah. Who's got it better than
Iowa.
Andy freaking Reid?
Iowa is
No,
allergic to touchdowns.
buddy. No, buddy. That's what I'm thinking. Listen. I hope that he can make. I hope he can make it interesting. They have the pieces to have a really fun offense, and I'm optimistic that maybe he can, dial up some fun and exciting plays there for the Charger faithful. But I mean, I'm not. What we think he's gonna do? Take him to the Super Bowl? Come on, not
No, no.
not right
There's
now. Not
there's
I
anytime
mean,
still
soon.
the there's still the Chargers.
They're
if he can
still the
take
Chargers.
Colin Kaepernick to the Super Bowl, he can take Justin Herbert to the Super
Hey,
Bowl.
don't undersell what Alex Smith did for the 49ers that year as well. He was a starter for half the year too.
Hey, I'm one of the biggest Alex Smith guys around. So don't look at me like I'm discrediting the man. I
That was
love
an
that guy.
awesome Niners team, dude. I'm having flashbacks right now thinking about.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
Oh,
that
that
was
was
a
such
that
a
was
know,
that
cool
was a
team.
I'm
that
ha-
was a
I'm
good
having
Niners
I'm,
team.
I'm having
That was a lot of fun.
flashbacks, or what's the opposite of a flashback? Like a blackout. I'm trying to think of something.
Well, a fun thing is that the Chargers are supposed to play the Ravens next year, so we will get Harbaugh versus Harbaugh part two. They obviously met in the Super Bowl, and John won that one, but Jim now gets a chance to get over on his big brother when they are in the NFL again together. It's heartwarming. So yeah, so we got the Carolina Panthers job that's still available, and nobody wants to work for David Tepper, so that's going to be you know whoever misses out on the other good jobs, they'll settle for Carolina. Seattle's a pretty
I'm
good
right here,
job.
guys.
I mean, the Seattle job's got now that the Charger job is off the board. I would think the Seattle job. You've got some great talent at wide receiver. You've got great young cornerbacks. You've got a passionate fan base. You've got a great GM in place in John Schneider. I would think that a head coach would really covet that Seattle Seahawks position. Obviously, you've got the Commanders, and you've got a new ownership group with Josh. What's his? Why am I drawing a blank? Josh, whatever. Josh, just Josh. But Magic Johnson is part of that ownership group. They are part of the search committee. They just hired a general manager, so now they'll probably get around to hiring their coach here pretty soon. You've got the boy, help me out. Why am I drawing a
Falcons.
Falcon? Oh yes, Bill Belichick's still the favorite there, but they've now conducted interviews with 14 candidates. 14, and 8 of them have had second interviews. What are you doing, Atlanta? Just pick somebody. You either want Bill Belichick or you want somebody else, but stop with this whole nonsense.
Hey, did you guys hear
Yeah.
about Arthur Smith though? He's got several teams that are interested in him as an offensive coordinator.
Well, I hope that the new head coach of the Atlanta Falcons hires him as his offensive coordinator. Wouldn't that be fun?
I think Arthur Smith should just go to Seattle.
Yeah.
It would be an incredible misuse of everything.
Yeah.
And probably halfway through the second game they throw in Drew Lock, bench Gino, or they'll draft some prospect out of southwestern, no, I'll say southern Mississippi or something at quarterback. and he'll be mediocre at best. Arthur Smith is a cancer to football.
Arthur Smith gives me the vibe that he would tell the 12th man to keep it down out there. That's what I feel like. He doesn't give
We
that
can't
fun
communicate on defense.
Greg
Oh my
Popovich on the mic, he's like, why are you booing? Oh, man.
Oh my goodness, I love it.
All right. Well, are we ready to talk about those two games that we've got this Sunday to decide who goes to the Super Bowl?
I
mean, will you two even be paying attention to them? I know
Tommy,
that your teams.
I just wanted to mention Brian Callahan real quick because I think that's a bad hire.
Well, yeah, I think what happened was Joe Burrow goes down. The Bengals offense doesn't turtle. And a lot of people credit Brian Callahan for that. So, but yeah, as in terms of a head coach, because his dad Bill got a chance to be a head coach and he was not good. And they said,
Also,
go back to the offensive line.
Brian Callahan has a history of just like being slightly above average. I mean, he's been an offensive coordinator for that team. He was a long tenured offensive coordinator, and their game plan throughout all of the deep playoff runs with the Bengals was Joe Burrow throw a ball on fade to Jamar Chase. Like, it's caveman football. I don't see him doing anything well.
Well, and you've got an offense there that's really kind of dead. I mean, you've got Will Levis and who? I mean, do we think Derrick Henry's going to be back?
D-Hop.
Yeah. So you got a 32-year-old washed-up wide receiver who it will be in the Hall of Fame, but he's certainly not that guy anymore. Derrick Henry probably not going to be there. You've got a franchise that's really not good. I mean, the offensive line got old and injured. I don't feel like that he's set. Well, and then you're in a division where you're going to be shown up by the young quarterbacks in Indianapolis and Houston. You still got Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville. So you're talking about a team that finished last place this year, and there's no reason to think they're not going to finish in last place for the next several years. There's such good bones for the rest of that division. So I don't know. Yeah, it was an unexpected hire. It was not a name that I had considered, and all of a sudden he got the job. So
no one saw it coming. I don't think.
He has to have connections over there somehow.
Well, so like he was the quarterbacks coach in Denver for a small brief period of time with Peyton Manning there, and I don't know what a quarterback coach is supposed to do with Peyton Manning in the room other than just give him a thumbs up and tell him
Especially
to keep
old
doing
Peyton Manning.
Yeah, exactly.
This
retired Peyton Manning.
15-year veteran to Peyton Manning.
This was 2013 prime, like best, statistical season Peyton Manning that we're talking about. Like, I don't know.
It's like, you go, dude.
Yeah.
We
hope
giving positive affirmations in the mic. Like, hey man, hey, just do what you do best.
I mean, we obviously don't wish for the downfall of any team other than the Raiders on this podcast, but good luck, Tennessee. You're gonna need it. Like, oh my goodness.
Well, maybe he could be a bridge to when they open their new stadium in a couple of years, and then they'll get the new head coach and the new whole attitude. But
we're talking about a terrible Tennessee football team, and we have championship football to talk about.
Yeah, I don't know why we're wasting so much time on a team that was how they went 5 wins this year. Let's move on. So we have 2 games on Sunday. The first game, the early game, the AFC Championship game, the Kansas City Chiefs at the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens are 3.5-point favorites, and our picks are unanimous. All 3 of us picking the Chiefs to cover. I'll go ahead and explain my reasons, and then you guys go be yours. To me, it's the 3.5-point spread. If this was a 2.5-point spread, I might feel differently about it. But it's a 3.5-point spread, and I can see Kansas City covering that spread. And obviously, I want the Chiefs to win, and they've got Patrick Mahomes, so of course they could win. He's 13-3 in his lifetime in the playoffs. But the Baltimore Ravens are a really good team. I saw a stat where they beat like 7 teams this year by double-digit points that all had winning records. Look at how they finished the season. They blew out the 49ers, a great team. Then they blew out the Miami Dolphins, another playoff team. The Ravens are a great team, but the Chiefs have a great defense. They've got Patrick Mahomes. They've got Andy Reid. And I like this game to be a really close game. This is going to be a good game, a close game. And at 3.5 points, I'm rolling with the Chiefs.
Yeah, I mean, I have pretty similar logic to you. At 3.5, like just right over that 3 point mark. And the Chiefs, even if they do lose this game, which I have a feeling they could squeak this one out, just because it's a like big time game, and that's where they thrive. Even with a little bit of injuries, a little bit of lack of talent on offense from the skill positions, uh, just specifically wide receiver, not skill positions, just one position. Uh, it's hard to believe that they're really going to go out there and stink it up. If there's, I know that the Ravens had 7 wins against teams with a winning record by double digits, but the Chiefs aren't just any team. They were underdogs almost the entire time they were in the playoffs, and they've been proving everybody completely wrong and just showing that they're still one of the most capable teams in the NFL. So there's I got a feeling they might take it.
In the MMA world, there's this belief that holding the belt, that winning the belt, winning the championship makes you a better fighter by around 50%. Just the confidence, the ability to be there. Last year, the Baltimore Ravens were watching the AFC Championship at home. They watched their division rivals lose to who? This Kansas City Chiefs team. This Kansas City Chiefs team has been here consistently. This is what they do. They have lifted the Lombardi multiple times in the past few years for multiple reasons. But being there, being through the experience of just playing playoff football, of the press, of all the lights, of knowing what it feels like to have the whole nation only care about your team. They've been here before. I have plenty of faith that they get it done. Once again, I like the Kansas City Chiefs to not only cover 3.5, I like them to win this game. I was saying it before the season. I told the listeners, I said, Kansas City and Detroit, that's the Super Bowl. I'm not going to backtrack now. Why would we? I knew how this ends. It comes down with Kansas City. They are the best team in the NFL over the past few years and probably for multiple years to come. And this is them while they're bad. So good luck to the rest of the
Yeah.
NFL and the AFC. The Chiefs are just insane. The experience. I unfortunately like the Chiefs in this one.
Yeah, not to compare them to the Patriots because they still got a couple more Super Bowls to win before they fit into that category. But that second the second 3 Super Bowls that the Patriots won after they had they had the long layoff between their dynasty is really 2 separate dynasties that kind of bookended an 8 or 9 year period where they didn't win anything. And that second stretch of 3 games or 3 Super Bowls, often we were writing them off in September and October. Oh, this team's not that. This is the end of Brady. This is the end of the Patriots dynasty. And come playoff time, they found ways to win because they are winners. And I feel like that's where this Chiefs team is now. We wrote them off a lot during the year. They did not look good for long stretches during the year. But now here we are in the playoffs. This game against Buffalo was their best offensive game of the year. Pacheco ran well. You have all of a sudden MVS, who had the drops all season long, is making a couple of really important contested catches. Obviously, Travis Kelce, who, oh my, Travis has really gotten old. He doesn't look very good. All of a sudden, Travis Kelce looks like old Travis Kelce again. And this defense is very good. And so I do see that they have that same kind of their preseason is now the regular season because this is the 6th time in a row that they've gotten to the AFC Championship game. They just expect to be there at this point, and this is when they turn it on. But Baltimore is a really good team. It's going to be a hell of a game. I can't wait. It's. I mean, I can wait. I'm going to be a nervous wreck the entire game. Hopefully, weeks from now, I'll be able to actually enjoy it for the football aspect of it all. I'm going to be miserable during the entire game. I know how this goes. It's going to be fun. Going to be fun for everybody who doesn't care about the game and just wants to watch good football, because I'm certain it's going to be good football. You've got the reigning MVP versus the guy who's going to win the MVP this year. I mean, how great is that?
So what you're telling me is I'm the real winner for not having a team involved in either
Yes,
of these games, right? Is
yes,
that
yes. I would swap for those 3 hours. I would swap places with you.
Yeah, Ben, you weren't sweating like me last week.
Well,
Oh
speaking
my.
of Tommy sweating, let's move on to the NFC title game, and it is those Detroit. Oh, actually, you know what? I'm sorry. I jumped
Want to
the
do
gun. Let's get
props?
let's
You
get
want to
back
do
to the AFC game. Yes, we still got 6 bets to get to you. My mistake. I was so anxious to stop talking about the Chiefs losing that I forgot the props. So Tommy, we're going to start with your props. You've got a couple of props for this game. Go ahead and tell us about them.
Yeah, so my first prop is more player centric. I have Kelsey and Pacheco anytime touchdowns, and I mean from what we saw last week. I mean even throughout the season, Pacheco has been relied on in the run game, and I don't think the Chiefs have really had such a good downhill running back that you could hand the ball off to. They've had some hybrids the last couple of years. They're Super Bowl years. I mean, you had guys like Jerick McKinnon. I mean, Clyde Edwards-Helaire was pretty good out of the backfield. Even when you had LaShawn McCoy, like it's just, it's been a little bit of a hybrid, but now you got a guy who can actually take the ball and carry the rock. And I think that both of them are going to score this game. I think it'll be a very fun performance from the Chiefs offensively, and anytime touchdowns for the both of them, especially after last week, just feel very good together.
Well, yeah, it's one of the things the Chiefs used to get cute down inside the 5 yard line because they didn't have a goal line guy who could bruise his way into the end zone. And there was a lot of jet sweeps, and we're going to have Travis go into motion, and he's going to get under center, and he's going to take the snap. They would do that with Blake Bell, the other tight end, or they'd split Patrick Mahomes out and just I'll do all this nonsense. What we saw against Buffalo was them hand the ball to Pacheco. Pacheco gets drilled right at the goal line, but Pacheco goes into the end zone for the touchdown. I think they're starting to rely on him to be a short yardage guy. Obviously, both Pacheco and Kelsey scored last week, so I like this prop a lot. I think it's a solid one. And then you've got the Ravens. Well, you got go tell us about your team prop. I like that
Oh,
one
my
as well.
team prop. My team prop is my favorite. So I think even if the Chiefs get the ball first, um, they're going to start off cold. This is a consistent thing, and we just talked about yesterday. Not today. Sorry, yesterday. Last week, we talked about the come from behind, and I feel like the Ravens are going to be the first ones to score. They have even if they don't score a touchdown, they have the second best kicker in NFL history, Adam Vinatieri, number one. But Justin Tucker is the greatest efficiency kicker in the NFL, and in an early quarter of the championship game, he's going to drill it. And I love Ravens' first score, and I think the Ravens are going to be up at halftime. But Chiefs always find a way to come back. The Chiefs come back. They end up winning the game from being behind at halftime. All those together is plus 300.
I like it. I
That's
could
good.
absolutely see that happening.
I think it's going to be a
Ben,
competitive first half. It's going to be fun.
Ben, you've got a couple of props for this game.
Yes, yes, I have two money making machines for you right here. I got Lamar Jackson anytime touchdown. I was rolling with this one last week, and if you played it, you made some money. And if you didn't play it, you got another chance to get it in plus money. That's pretty cool, right? He always does this. Why would it be in plus money? I don't know. Vegas just doesn't pay attention to these things. Let's hit it while they don't know. That's the first one. Second one we got here is Patrick Mahomes over 250 passing yards at plus 110. Uh, I just think Mahomes is gonna light it up. I like Mahomes to go crazy, and if it ends up, you know, getting into a little bit of a points race or being a tight game down the stretch, you know that Kansas City is going to want to go try and pick some up via the air. I Yeah, with the line still being in the plus money on that one too, I got to hit that with a hammer.
Well, and even if you only hit one of these, you've made money.
Yeah, isn't that ridiculous?
Yeah, you're in the black. So
Vegas shouldn't
yeah.
let me be around this kind of stuff. I'm telling you, I just keep finding these loopholes. It's stupid.
All right, I've got a couple of props for this game as well. So I've got Patrick Mahomes over 225 pass yards. That feels like a no-brainer. Kelsey over 61. He just went over 80 last week. I think he can get to 61. And then Lamar Jackson over 64 and a half rush yards. He had 100 last week. And the Chiefs have gotten, I mean, uh, Josh Allen had a good game running the ball against the Chiefs. They're not great against a running quarterback, and the guy who would be their spy, Willie Gay, got hurt last week. So I think Mahomes, Kelsey, and Lamar running the football all combined gives me plus 340. None of those yardage totals are hard to reach for any of these guys, and I'm getting triple my money there. So I really like that bet. And then I've got I wanted to go with some guys who nobody's thinking about. So I've got Justin Watson going 15 receiving yards. I've got Noah Gray. He's all I got to get to is 10 and a half receiving yards. And then Nelson Aguilar, also 15 and a half receiving yards. All of these guys are going to catch one or two passes. I think they're all going to hit those very, very modest overs. And that's paying me plus 500. So quintupling my cash for three guys that probably no one's really thinking about except their quarterbacks who will be looking for them in those. Because outside of Rashee Rice, Watson is the guy that the wide receiver that Mahomes trusts the most. That's what I'm doing on that game. Now we can move over to the NFC Championship game, which is the second game of the night. We have those Detroit Lions that we've all been excited about all season long. Well, for a couple seasons now. And think back to when Dan Campbell first gets hired by the Lions and he starts talking about biting kneecaps and all this stuff. And he's a laughing stock. And everybody's like, who is this Neanderthal that the Lions have just hired? He's not an X's and O's guys. He's a corny speech weirdo. That's never going to fly in the NFL. How long is this guy going to last? Well, he's going to last quite a while. He's got the Detroit Lions in the NFC Championship game for the first time in 32 years. They've won 2 playoff games now in the same postseason for the first time ever. And they are at the San Francisco 49ers, who might be one of the best offenses we've seen in the last decade. So how did we all do in our picks? The 49ers are giving 7 points. And all three of us have the Lions covering. Now, I'm certain, I don't want to speak for Tommy. I'll let Tommy here speak for himself. I bet, though, that Tommy's not playing the Lions on the money line. But at -7, it's a pretty good bet. This is a good team. This is a team that can play some pretty good football. My take on San Francisco is that their weakest part of their defense is their secondary, and that's going to allow Detroit to move the football a little bit. I think we're going to see good games out of Jahmyr Gibbs and Amon-Ra St. Brown, and the Lions are going to keep pace. But San Francisco is a good football team. I as much as I want Detroit to win, I don't think they will. But I could absolutely see this game being a 28-24 kind of a game, and the Lions covering that spread.
Yeah. I do think the 49ers will win, but it's a soft think. It's not a hard, confident thought. It's just one that's lingering and a little bit of hope that's feeding into it. If any team is going to beat this Niners team, because the Niners have made their money on precision and offensive mastermind, incredibly scripted plays. Everything that they do is planned out to a T. Every step they take is planned. But I feel like the kryptonite of that is a Dan Campbell. Is not forgetting fundamentals, but it's dog first. Like head to the grindstone. I think this is going to be a great contrast of play styles, of coaching styles, because you get the genius Kyle Shanahan and the Dan Campbell. I mean, this is two coaching stereotypes that are butting heads in the NFC Championship. It's really cool. Once if you really get to think about it. But I think the Lions keep it close. I do. I think between 5 and 3 points, I would say. I don't think it's going to be 2 or 1, but I do think the Niners are going to win it.
I am incredibly excited for this game. I like genuinely. I think this is the game. I'm psyched. You guys know that I've been on this Snoil bandwagon since I figured out that they could be said Snoil backwards. This is a big this is a big deal for me. It's gonna be absolutely beautiful out there in, what is it, Santa Clara, right? Yeah,
Santa Clara, yeah.
think it said 70 degrees on Sunday. It's gonna be nice. It shouldn't be too windy. It's gonna be beautiful football weather. And it's nice. It's kind of a nice change of pace in what has been a crazy playoff game, playoff, little run that we've had here. To have a game that's not really affected by the weather, it will be nice to have that. I and for as excited as I am for this Lions team, I think I might be this opposite of Tommy here, where I'm just hoping that they can cover the 7, and I'm hoping that they can win. But at the same time, couldn't you just see this Niners team just laying an absolute pipe down on this Lions team? Jeez, I there is CMC has looked like like a superhuman. We talked about it a little bit earlier this season. He has just absolutely had himself a year. The Niners look absolutely potent, but I I'm excited. I don't know what to think. I genuinely don't know which way to go with this game. But yeah, I'm gonna go with the Lions here to cover the 7. Uh, I hope I hope there's a lot of points. I hope it's everything that I have dreamed of. I don't think we're gonna see a 10-7, Hawkeye-esque game here. I think we're gonna see some absolutely great offenses at work, and I'm excited.
Yeah, no, it's got everything you want. You've got obviously Christian McCaffrey uh, running on one side. You've got Jameer Gibbs, who might be the best young running back in the league. He's going to be my fantasy running back number 1 next year for sure. Is Jameer Gibbs? You've got uh, George Kittle, who is an established great tight end, all pro, and then you've got Sam Laporta with the Lions, with the best young tight ends in football. We've got Amon-Ra St. Brown, who's the most reliable receiver in the league. He had 10 games of 100 yards or more. And is Debo going to play? Debo got hurt here. It's an AC joint sprain in his left shoulder, not the same shoulder that he injured earlier in the year. So that's going to help him maybe get back onto the field. But even if he's not there, you still got Brandon Ayuk, who's a pretty good wide receiver in his own right. There's just so many good players on the field for this game. And again, the history. You've got the 49ers with their 5 Super Bowl titles. You've got the Detroit Lions, who have never even gone to a Super Bowl, let alone win one. So, man, it's got everything we want, and including some pretty tasty prop bets. Tommy, starting with you again, your 2 prop bets for this game.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about this game being close. I think one of the things we talk about, maybe even not enough about this Dan Campbell-led Lions, is that last year their defense sucked. Their defense was not good last year. This year, their defense is very good. You don't make it to the NFC Championship game unless you have a good defense. And their run defense is very good. Their pass defense is okay. I mean, they got a pretty lucky pick against Baker last week, and they let Baker throw the ball all over the field on them. But that's why I think the run defense specifically, because the Niners have been focusing a little more on their run game with having Christian McCaffrey being the best running back in the league. You do rely on the run game, and I think they're going to get a couple of stops in that 20 to 30 yard range, and I could see Jake Moody hitting 1.5 field goals. It sounds right to me. 2 field goals doesn't sound far off at all, and Christian McCaffrey scoring a touchdown, adding that in there and getting plus money, it feels very reasonable.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. It's well, Aiden Hutchinson. We talk about the defense. Aiden Hutchinson's what had like eight sacks in his last 6 games. He's been on fire. That's enough to kill a drive and force a field goal. You do that a couple of times, and you got half your prop right there, and then all you need is the surest bet in the game, and that's Christian McCaffrey to score a touchdown. So yeah, no, I like that.
Yeah, and then for my second prop, it's actually this is probably my favorite prop that I've done all season. All of these are alternate lines. Jared Goff and Brock Purdy, 200 plus passing yards. Neither of them have thrown for under 200 yards in at least 7 or 8 weeks. Jared Goff had one bet, and Brock Purdy only threw for 100 yards once all season, and it was against Cleveland, I'm pretty sure. Both of these guys are consistently over 200. Having under 200 is like a terrible game for these two.
Yeah.
Very, very bad. Even when Brock threw 4 picks against the Ravens, he had over 200 yards. And those seem almost like locks to me. Christian McCaffrey over 70 rushing yards, very doable. Very, very doable. And then Jahmyr Gibbs over 40, also doable because we saw how Aaron Jones ran against the Niners defense. Aaron Jones had, in the first half at least, a hell of a game. And in better conditions, probably plus 156 money on this. I know it's a four-legger for plus 156, but I mean, if you're going to get value on a four-legger like this, it's something worth putting money on.
Yeah, all of these legs are pretty obvious gets. The only one that might not hit is McCaffrey with his rush yards because he's going to have so many receiving yards also. But if he's got his receiving yards, that means that Brock Purdy is clearing 200 pretty easily. So, yeah, no, I dig this. It looks like a lot. It's not a lot for that to happen, and you're still getting plus money. It's a good deal.
I'm just glad you learned your lesson and you're betting the over here on these pass yards instead of last week where you're betting under on Goff. Well, what kind of game were you rooting for, man? Welcome to the fun side, dude. You're gonna enjoy this. You're going to trust me. You're gonna love this game.
All right. Well, Ben, you've got a couple of props. You want to go ahead and tell us about how the over is the fun side?
Oh yeah, I mean we're talking about scores. We like scores. Listen, it's okay to like defense. There's nothing wrong with liking defense, but I mean, come on, it's 2024. Let's go. It's all about the offense now. Catch up, Dad. Uh, Jared Goff, over 1.5 passing touchdowns. Now I do understand the line is minus 110. Now usually I don't like telling you to bet on stuff that isn't plus money, but this is just the natural line. Um, at 1.5 touchdowns, it just feels too easy to not just take advantage of it. Like if this was an alternative for a line, I'd say yeah, just move away. But I mean, this is just what they want to give you. This is they're saying, hey man, flip the coin. Yeah, I don't care. Let's go with it. I like Jared Goff over 1.5 passing touchdowns. Because what are you gonna do? Root for Jared Goff to throw 1 or 0 passing touchdowns? What are you, a loser? Come on now.
Boring. Yeah.
I know, right?
You hate football if you yeah.
There's people out there betting that and gonna sit down Sunday and root for that. What are like? I bet they're the people that root for the refs. Honestly, let's be honest. They probably enjoy the Olympics way too much. And then CMC anytime touchdown. With Jahmyr Gibbs anytime touchdown. Come on, I feel like both of these guys just have a nose for the end zone. It feels kind of automatic that they're going to find their way there. I can get both of them at plus 166. Yeah, duh. That's great. That's great value there. So, yeah. The props were printing money last week. We're just gonna keep going and taking some easy stuff here.
All right. And so I've got two props as well. I've got Amon-Ra St. Brown going over 85 receiving yards, Jahmyr Gibbs over 22.5 receiving yards, and Christian McCaffrey over 37.5 receiving yards. That's paying me plus 550. Yes, I do think that both the running backs are going to get used a lot in the passing game, and Amon-Ra St. Brown is my go-to. He's a guy who I just like to always do good stuff. And then in the other prop, the Detroit Lions are going to go over 20.5 points, and they are going to go over 2.5 touchdowns. Add that to a Christian McCaffrey anytime touchdown, and that's paying me plus 162. So again, the Lions over 20.5 points. I think we all agree that that's probably going to happen. Over 2.5 touchdowns. Well, to get to 21 points, they probably are going to have that. And then McCaffrey an anytime touchdown. That's again, that is, what does that happen about 95% of the games? So throw that one in there. So I get my plus 162. I like both of those props for me. Neither one of them feels like it's that challenging to get. Of course, that's famous last words and all. But we have now given you 6 props per game. We've given you all of our picks, although we are a little lockstep on our picks, which has me worried a little bit. I was pretty feeling good about my Lions and Chiefs picks, and then I saw both of you guys also do the same thing. And when I consider how we've been doing against the spread and how I've been kicking the crap out of both of you, it makes me think that maybe I screwed up this week because I'm picking with you guys. Or maybe my genius is starting to rub off on you two. Maybe that's the way it's working. Probably more likely that, don't you imagine? I mean, through osmosis, you're finally starting to get some of my football genius through the interwebs here.
I'm
Yeah,
only
it's
$30 behind on this props, Kyle. Hold on. We're catching up here.
It is true. You had
I have no right to talk right now.
You did have a hell of a week last week. You hit 3 of your 4 props, and you had one that was plus 550. I mean, you rocked it. There's no question about it. Tommy was 0 for 4 on his props, but each week's a new week. You've got 4 new bets for this week. All you got to do is hit a couple of those bad boys, and you are right back in it.
I want to hit all of them. I'm gonna hit all of them.
That's what we're rooting for.
I am absolutely positively going to hit every single one of those bets.
All right. Well, you heard it here, folks. Put all your money down on Tommy's props because they are going to hit. Guaranteed.
Yes, you heard him. You heard the man.
All right, guys. 2 great football games. There's a couple of teams that are also worthy of being in this Final Four, but we can't complain about who actually made it. You've got obviously the 2 great quarterbacks in the AFC, the 2 great teams in the NFC. The quarterbacks aren't quite on that same par yet, but maybe. If Goff can win, this will be his 2nd Super Bowl trip. Obviously, Brock Purdy just in his 2nd year, so he's got a whole lot of career still stretched out in front of him. You've got what I love about that is you've got Goff, the 1st overall pick, versus Purdy, the last overall pick, and then you've got a couple of 1st rounders there in Baltimore. Some great football this weekend. So next week we will be back. Even though there's a whole week off of football, we're going to be back and we're going to be doing our awards show. So we'll do the Super Bowl preview show the week of the Super Bowl. Next week, we're going to be talking about all things MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, all the rookies, the coaches, comeback player. We're going to make those picks before the awards are actually handed out. When they're handed out there, the week before the Super Bowl kicks off. So we're going to do that before that game or before that event so that we can make sure that you can get on those final bets. We're going to compare them to our picks back in the preseason as well when we first picked. And I know you're going to hear a lot about this next week. Tommy Burch picked Lamar Jackson to win the MVP. He's going to tell you that 75 times next week. Just preparing you.
He's not even going to let me relish in my victory.
No, I will
Take
lay
away
back.
the one thing I got.
Next week, I will turn my mic off and I will just let you go to town.
It's not going to be as fun anymore, Kyle, because now all the concurrent viewers are going to, here it comes. Here comes Tommy talking about his win.
What if Lamar doesn't win it? What if he doesn't win?
Then I look stupid.
He's gonna win. He's gonna win. Too many people have said he's gonna win. They can't change that now. They've all got to vote for him. And look, when you watched the game that he had against Houston, that was an MVP. That's what you expect out of your MVP. He took that game over and single-handedly destroyed the Houston Texans. He was great in that game. 4 touchdowns, 2 running, 2 passing, did it all. Great player. Great player. Great for the league. Great dude. I'm so glad he stayed in Baltimore because he's great for that team. All right, guys. Football on Sunday. We are going to be watching. We hope that you're going to be watching. As we get set for those games, we are going to leave you with the 4 locker rooms that were celebrating after the divisional round, and they all celebrated in their own little individual ways. That is tonight's Football Zen as we say goodnight until next week. On behalf of Tommy Burch in Springfield, Massachusetts, Ben O'Connell in Chicago, Illinois, I am Kyle Garlett, currently just outside of Detroit, Michigan. Thank you so much for tuning in. Tell your friends. Happy betting until next week.
Who's got it better than Andy? Nobody.
Hey! In case you didn't know, we got another one next week. Let's go! Hey, listen, no dancing today, right? No dancing today. We got more to do, right? Yes, sir. More to do. Yes, sir. But you know what? We're gonna enjoy this one like son of a bun. Hey, proud of everybody. Defense, I'm proud of you for battling. Hell yeah! I'm battling, man. That's a great offense. You were battling all night or day, whatever we are. Let's take a knee. But first, how about those Chiefs? League in the playoffs? Do you understand what you're doing right now? What we're capable of? That's 2. All right, that's 2. We got 2 to go. With a bye in the middle. I'm unbelievably proud of everybody in here, man. Coaches, players. That's the way to mount up, man. That's a fucking difficult team to beat, man. All right, I got 1 game ball. Man, in the game, need to fucking play. Derek Barnes.
Guys, that game was 100% about character, 100%. That's one of the hardest ones I've been involved in all 3 phases, and you guys never wavered. It wasn't pretty, but we did whatever it took to win. That's the motto of our whole team. Guys, we got another week together. All right, we got 8 days till we play next. All right, let's get right there.
Let's go, JJ!
Feel me?
Y'all boys, man, let's keep working, man. This week, man, let's get in that film and go back to work, man. Okay. When I say bang, bang, y'all say not again. Bang, bang! Not again!